What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Pete's Carport. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We're starting the series on the Honda Civic Flip, and I'm excited to say that me and Zay came up with an awesome idea, something I have already done in past videos, but a lot of you guys did not get to see that because the channel's grown quite a bit since then, and that is going to be, we're going to put the RUSTOLEUM truck bed liner paint on this 2004 Honda Civic Flip car, and then we're going to start cleaning up the headlights. We're going to do a little bit of body work today. Stay tuned. I've got the trunk out over here, and it's going to be an awesome, very unique paint job to put on this flip car. So I had to go with the RUSTOLEUM bed liner paint, which I'll show you guys here shortly. I'll also fill you guys in on the way we're going to be applying it. But the prep work is very minimal. We do have some slight rust and a lot of little ding dents here and there. And this type of paint is not going to completely cover all those up, but definitely hide them, blend them in. And I've never seen a Honda Civic with the truck bed liner paint on it. I've seen some people do on some other sports cars, and I know of a couple other YouTubers that are currently working with the bed liner, but we're going to be applying it differently, a lot thicker than you might have seen in the past. We're not going to be using a sprayer. We are actually going to be using a roller, and I'm very familiar with it, so I'm not afraid to approach it this way. Also, very minimal prep work, so we're going to be able to speed right through this. The cost is very minimal, less than $100 for everything. So we're going to basically grab ourselves 80 grit sandpaper. Now, you're going to hear other people say maybe 400 grit, but we're going to be using 80 because we're using the roller, and it's going to go on a lot thicker, and we want to have a nice, very rough surface. Since we've got our trunk off, I'll probably pull our hood off. It's going to be a little bit easier to do those little parts off to the side and get those prepped really well, and we'll keep the other body panels on while doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up. I got gloves. You grab yourself a mask if you've got one. You're not outside specifically, and grab yourself some goggles to keep the dust out of your eye, and then you just start sanding away. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up and start doing that now. All right, guys, it's a new day, but I got a lot of prepping done the other day. Most of the car has been sanded down. I want to keep filling you guys in on this. I'm using 80 grit. Really, you're just trying to roughen up the surface, remove any peeling, flaky top coat, clear coat, because these cars tend to do that, and I got a lot of it off. The next step is going to be to really mask off everything that we don't want to paint. I'm going to now show you guys all of the stuff that we're going to use to paint it. And I've got my trunk and my hood down here, and we're going to paint those today. You're going to see that in this video, and then I'm going to reveal the entire car painted, reassembled. We're going to be doing the headlights, so we'll probably have a couple in between videos. I just want to show you everything we're going to be using. So when doing this, obviously you want to make sure you've got sandpaper. We've got the 80 grit. I'm using a very inexpensive Walmart. It's not a vibrating sander. It does spin. And probably cost 20 bucks. They sell different ones at Harbor Freight like that. You don't need to go crazy. If you got air tools, that's even better. It goes a lot quicker, but even hand sanding will work. Next thing you want to do is make sure we're going to remove any grease. You can use a degreaser. I've even used Simple Green, but I want to really wash this down. There's a lot of different areas I'm going to try to get. So I'm going to use some Dawn. We're going to really get it washed off with some water. Make sure we hose it down. And then once that dries fully, we're going to wipe it down with alcohol and a microfiber towel before we put our coat of paint on. The benefit of these truck bed liner coatings is really your surface just needs to be rough. You're going to be you're not going to have to prep it like you would if you were doing a really good paint job where you've got to go down in levels of sanding, make sure everything's super smooth. You can leave it very rough, just making sure nothing's going to peel, chip, so you want to get any of the loose stuff off. Now, I've done this before, and I played around with a lot of different rollers, and this is what worked best for me. This is a very textured roller. It looks like weaved plastic, and I'm going to leave a link to that. It's from Lowe's. It's Blue Hawk, which I believe is their brand. And I like to cut them in half and use these small rollers. Obviously, put your paint in here. This is the paint we're going to be using, and it's inexpensive. This was $50 at Walmart. They do sell a 2-part epoxy that's even better, which I plan on doing some in the future. We're going to be doing lots of videos with this type of coating because we're going to be testing out adding color to it on top. So I'm going to be revealing a video very soon about if you can paint over it, how that works, what we're doing to do that. And this is the inexpensive version, and the only reason why we're doing that is because I've used this before. It held up very well, and this is not an off-roading vehicle, so we don't have to worry about it being super hard. It's not a trunk or a truck bed. And so if you're doing it in either the trunk or truck bed or an off-road vehicle, I recommend the 2-part epoxy at least, or a spray-on professional quality gun type. But this is an inexpensive paint job, and we're trying to get this vehicle to look really nice without going overboard. And I thought it'd be really cool because I know how this came out, and I really like the results on my Navigator, and I want to see how it's going to look on a car. Obviously, you're going to want to mask off areas, get some blue tape that does work really good even with the roll-on. And we have some small rust spots, so we're going to be using Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer on those areas prior to rolling on our paint. Our front bumper also is a rubberish plastic, like most, and we have some cracks and some broken pieces, so we're going to be using JB Weld plastic bonder to seal those off. And the nice thing is we don't have to worry about it being a super smooth surface because we're going to go over it with this rough paint. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to get my water set up. We're going to wash this hood and this trunk down, and we're going to prep it with the alcohol, and then we're going to go ahead and paint. So stay tuned. I'm going to walk you guys through that. You guys can watch how I roll this on. Okay, now I basically just wash everything down. Now I'm going to get it with the alcohol. I want to teach you guys a little trick. If you take your alcohol, leave the inside seal on, just flip open the cap, take a screw and poke a hole. That will allow you to squirt it on. And this is the 91, so this is going to dissolve very quickly. As you can see, I laid this trunk out in the sun. So basically now I can squirt it on and wipe it off. So it makes it nice and easy to spread around. And you see how quick that dissolves. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my microfiber towel and get this wiped down. And then we're going to get to painting. Alright guys, so this paint is very thick. So you want to really make sure you mix this up because you're going to get a lot of separation. And you want to make sure you get the texture to mix in. I'm going to go ahead and get that set up poured in this can. The next thing I wanted to mention is get yourself set up in a nice area. If you can get any of these parts off, it's going to be easier to paint. Plus you're going to be able to easily protect. Like I got all my lights out, tail lights, headlights. Sometimes that's not that easy, so you want to make sure you mask them off really well. And anytime you wash down a part, even if it's on the car, if you have the option of blowing it out, blow it out, because if water drips down, it will ruin that section. You're going to have to sand it back down and repaint it. I went ahead and let this lay out in the sun for quite some time, and now I'm going to get set up and start rolling. I'm going to show you guys how it rolls out. Probably two to three coats is going to do it. That's what I've seen in the past. If it has a nice dark color underneath, it's easier. You don't have to worry about something slightly seeing through, or if it's like a white or a bright color, you might need an extra coat for spots. So let's go ahead and get set up, and I'll show you guys how it goes. Okay guys, so just like any painting, You're going to want to start with a light coat. This stuff does dry pretty quick on the surface. So I'm just going to get my brush nice and wet, and then I'm just going to start rolling. It's going to go on pretty sloppy looking, but you do want to spread it. And this first coat is really what is called your sticking coat, meaning it's laying down the surface so that the next coat can really stick to it. And you can go different directions with this roller. It does a great job of not showing the lines once everything dries. And we're going to thin out anything we put on that was just a little too thick. We don't want it running. So we're going to go ahead and roll our roller through the thicker parts and spread that, so we get a nice thin first coat. Go ahead and spread some of these thicker areas out. Okay, let me see if I could show you guys. It's a little thicker in that area, so I'm probably going to go ahead and thin that out as it starts to dry. But as you can see, even this first coat is starting to look really good and textured. It's pretty consistent and even. Alright, I'm going to fill you guys in once I get to the second coat. I'm going to go ahead and finish this first one off. It's probably going to take about... You want to start putting the second coat on when it's lightly tacky, so I'm thinking 20-30 minutes. I'll give you guys a better idea once I put my second coat on, so stay tuned. Alright guys, I can't be more excited with the way that this is turning out. Now this is after the second coat. I want to fill you guys in. Even if I said earlier, allow 20 to 30 minutes to dry. Went back, read the container. It says 4 to 6 hours. I put it out in the sun, and it super sped up the drying process. And I want to say in about an hour and a half, I was able to apply my second coat. I learned a lot applying the second coat. I highly suggest if you can do it in sun, it works out really, really well. So I put it on really heavy, and then pressing down and getting it on there. So I was doing a nice heavy press. Then I went back over the whole thing without putting any pressure, just lightly over and over again, and I could see it starting to dry and really form a perfect texture all the way across the surface, so it doesn't look blotchy, thicker in other areas. And I hope you guys can catch this on this, but it has a very, very nice even texture. It is still very wet, so you might see some spots that are different color if it's drying. Just got done with the hood. This literally I just finished up. I hope I can get this in good focus for you guys, and you guys can see how well this looks at home. And like I said, if it looks any blotchy, that's because some of it is starting to dry. This is not for everyone, guys. So I'm excited to be bringing this to you because it's something super unique. I haven't seen a Civic or any really type of car driving around with a nice one of these jobs done. I've seen some rattle can ones where people blotched it all over just to try to cover up some things. This stuff works great because if you have dings, dents, it really does hide them very well. This hood had a lot of little tiny dings and dents that you cannot see anymore because of the way the reflective works on there. Now hopefully you guys can see that at home. I think I'm getting a really good angle, really good view on that. All right, so the next video that is going to be coming out, me and Zay are going to be doing the rest of the car, which is all prepped over there. I'm going to have him recording while I'm putting it on so you guys can see the way this process goes. So if you like this, I can show you guys how to do it. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. My name's Pete. Join me and Xavier these upcoming videos. If you guys are enjoying what you're seeing, please subscribe and join, like, do whatever you can to help this channel grow. Share it with your friends. Once again, my name's Pete. This is Pete's Carport. You guys have an awesome day, a great week, and enjoy your weekends.